Wonderful. So we are in middle of Torah Chet, which is called, Torah Chet is called, what did we see yesterday? Torah Chet is called Ra'iti Menorat Zahav. Okay, that's the pasuk that he begins this Torah with. Ra'iti Menorat Zahav. I saw this gold menorah. Okay, and this gold menorah is a vision, a prophetic vision that is brought in Sefer Zechariah. Okay, so we saw yesterday, and just to quickly recap, we saw yesterday how Rabbi Nachman is speaking about the power of the sigh. When a person sighs for a certain lack that he is lacking, a certain deficiency that he is experiencing, a certain block, so then the sigh itself will remove that block. The sigh itself will fill that void. And we saw how the sigh is the breath, really, and the sigh is an increase of the breath. A person comes with a sigh to a certain block, an emotional block, a feeling, an experiencing of a certain block where that causes this increase for a person to dig deeper, to draw a deeper breath, to fill up that feeling that the person was experiencing. And so when you dig deeper, when you dig within to find that deep breath, that increase of breath, that increase of what's called the ruach itself is what creates the world. Hashem creates the world with ruach, and He creates us with ruach. And Hashem is going to create us anew in the next world also with ruach, as we saw. And so ruach is it's what fills up all deficiencies. It removes any deficiency. It fills up all the void, because the creation of the world was also a filling up of the void. Hashem created this space, what's called halal panui, this space of absolute void, and within this void that Hashem completely concealed Himself as if He were not there, He created all of the worlds, one level after the other, until finally in each world is more physical or less spiritual, until finally we come to this complete physical world that we are in. And so that was all done through ruach, as we saw. And so if so, in the same way, when a person is experiencing a void, a deficiency, a lack, and he sighs to the Ribono Shel Olam, that in itself is that extra breath, that extra ruach that is being drawn to that void, because that's what he's experiencing. He's experiencing the deficiency of that specific thing. That will remove the void. It will fill it up. It will remove the deficiency that he's experiencing. And then we saw also how it makes a difference whether a person is connected to the Torah, whether a person is connected to the tzaddik when he is sighing, or he is connected to the other side. So if a person is connected to the Torah through the tzaddik is the channel that will draw this ruach elokim, this spirit of Hashem, this wind, this ruach, this holy energy that is in the Torah, that will fulfill, that will remove the void, that will fill up the void and remove the deficiency. But if a person is connected to the other side, so then the wind, the ruach that he's drawing, that energy that he's drawing will be drawn from the side of Tuma. But in both instances, a person will have the void filled up, a person will have the removal of that deficiency, will have what is needed given to him, rectified. Okay, so we are in middle of Ot Bet. We are in the middle of Ot Bet, right in the middle. The beginning of the paragraph is V'zeh bechinat. V'zeh bechinat ruach tzfonit hamenashevet bekinot shel David. So now he's going to explain to us the secret of the harp of David HaMelech. The Gemara tells us that David HaMelech had this harp that he kept over his bed, near his bed, and when it became Chatzot HaLaila, when it became midnight, there was this northern wind that would come and blow upon the harp, and it would cause the music to be played in the harp from the wind hitting against the strings of the harp. And David HaMelech would wake up right away from that, and he would serve the Ribono Shel Olam. So, what is this? Why is the Gemara specified that it was a northern wind? Okay, and what's the significance of it being the harp of David HaMelech? So, says Rabbi Nachman, כי כינור של דוד היה של 5 נימים, כנגד 5 חומשי תורה, ורוח צפון שהייתה מנשבת בו הוא בחינת ברוח אלוהים מרחפת על פני המים, כי רוח צפון הוא בחינת הרוח הצפון בליבו של אדם, שהוא בחינת הרוח חיים, כי צפון חסר, והחיסרון הוא בלב, כמו שכתוב, וייתן לך משאלות ליבך, ימלא השם כל משאלותיך, ועיקר הרוח חיים הוא בלב, וכמו שכתוב בתיקוני הזוהר, כולו שייפין מתנהגין בתר ליבה כמלכה, כמה דעת אמר, אל אשר יהיה שם הרוח ללכת. כי הרוח הוא בלב, והחיסרון הוא הסתלקות הרוח שמקומו בלב, ועל כן נרגש החיסרון בלב, ועל כן כשנתמלא החיסרון שהוא בבחינת הרוח, כנ"ל נאמר, ויתן לך משאלות ליבך ימלא השם, היינו כנ"ל, ועל כן ישראל שמקבלים הרוח חיים מהתורה, נקראים השם צפון, כמו שכתוב על עמך יערימו סוד ויתייעצו על צפוניך. So Rabbi Nachman explains like this. He says the harp of David HaMelech had 5 strings. It was made up of 5 strings. Okay. The Tikkunei Zohar explains that the 5 strings of David HaMelech's harp represent the 5 times Hashem's name in the Mizmor Shir HaMa'alot Esa Einai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. It's the Mizmor that we say, the Shir HaMa'alot that we say in Ma'ariv, right after Shemona Esrei, before Aleinu L'Shabeach. Shir HaMa'alot Esa Einai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Me'im Hashem Oseh Shamayim V'Aretz. So there are 5 times Yud Kei Vav Kei in that Mizmor, and they are representing the 5 strings in the kinor, in the harp of David HaMelech. And it's a very, very, very special, very important mizmor, that mizmor. According to the Tikkunei Zohar, he explains tremendous secrets in that mizmor. So actually, that mizmor is connected to the Tikkun HaKlali, because Rabbi Nachman explains the Tikkun HaKlali is, the secret of the Tikkun HaKlali is the nigun sheit'ar le'atid lavo. It's the nigun, the song that will be awakened when the redemption is revealed. When we are, the final redemption is revealed, there's going to be a song that song represents the consciousness of the final redemption. And that song has 10, there are 10 aspects in that song. Asara minei nigina. And that's why there's 10 mizmorim in the Tikkun HaKlali. But those 10 songs are what the Sefer Tehillim is comprised of. David HaMelech is really the source for the light of Mashiach, right? Mashiach ben David, he's a descendant of David. And when he composed the Sefer Tehillim, it is comprised of these 10 aspects of the Song of Redemption. The Song of Redemption is the song that brings that consciousness of redemption, of the Geula. And when a person sings that song, and when a person is connected to that song, he merits the light of the redemption in his life. And that song is sung on the harp of David HaMelech, on these 5 strings. So there's a big connection between the Tikkun HaKlali and the Mizmor, Esa Einai Leharim, that we say at Ma'ariv time. As we saw, the Tikkunei Zohar says that Mizmor has 5 times Yud Kei Vav Kei, corresponding to, representing the 5 strings in the Kinor of David. And now Rabbi Nachman over here says that these 5 strings represent the five books in the Torah, Chamishe Chumshei Torah. And the 5 books of the Torah, the Chamishe Chumshei Torah, is the source for the spirit the spirit, the life energy, the ruach, the breath of Hashem, that fills all void, removes all lack, and removes all concealment. Because as we said, the void is really a matter of concealment of Hashem's light. When Hashem's light is revealed, there is no lack. There's absolute perfection. There's not even an experience of having lack that is being fulfilled. There's just absolute perfection. Okay, that's what comes about with the revelation of Hashem. But when there's a concealment of Hashem, that's what the void is made up of. And so the breath of Hashem is what brings the revelation of Hashem's light in that void. And then there's no longer any deficiency. So where is that found? That's found in the Torah. That's the Ruach Elokim Me'achefet al Pnei Hamayim. The Ruach, the Spirit of Hashem, the light of Hashem, the energy of Hashem's breath, okay, of Hashem's presence being revealed, that is in the Torah. And so he says that this kino that has the 5 strings is representing the 5 Chumshei Torah, the 5 books of the Torah, which is where this breath of Hashem is brought from. It's taken from there. And then now, what is this northern wind that plays the song, that plays the music on the 5 strings? The northern wind is the wind within a person's heart. Okay, that's the spirit within a person's heart. That's the Ruach Chaim that Hashem brought within our heart. Now, this Ruach Chaim is an aspect that is taken from the Ruach of Hashem. Hashem breathed within the heart of, within the nose of man, and that filled him with this spirit of life. Okay, but where is it taken from? It's taken from the breath of Hashem. The breath of Hashem is completely perfect. There's no lack over there. There's not even an aspect of lack. There's not even an instance where there can be lack in the source. Where is the source? Where is the breath of Hashem sourced in? Where is it found? The breath of Hashem, it's in the Torah. And that is being breathed within man, and that's what gives him life. The breath of Hashem within man sometimes is deficient. Sometimes, we said in the source, it's not deficient, it's not lacking. In the Torah, it's not lacking. In the source, it's not lacking. It's kind of like the well. In the source, it's never lacking. But when you take from it, so sometimes you use it up, sometimes it's missing, and you need to fill it back up. That's in the heart of the person. In the heart of the person, he feels deficiency. And that deficiency is a lack of the Ruach. It's lack of the Ruach Chaim that we spoke about. Lack of this life energy. Okay? And that's represented by this northern wind. Because the Gemara says that the side of north, first of all, Kabbalistically, the northern side represents the Midah of Gvura. The Midah of Gvura and Din, judgment, is all about concealment. It's all about lack and deficiency. That's what the void at the beginning of creation was, an aspect of din. It was an aspect of tzimtzum, right? It was an aspect of concealment. So when a person is experiencing this lack in his heart, it's the northern wind. The wind within a person's heart, or the spirit within a person's heart that is experiencing deficiency, is an aspect of this northern wind which is deficient. The northern wind is judgment. It's din, it's concealment. And it is where a person experiences all lack. And so Rabbi Nachman proves that from the Gemara and he says, from the Pasuk in Tehillim, that we see that it says that Hashem, many times the Torah expresses the fact that a person's wishes are fulfilled by saying that Hashem will fulfill the wishes of your heart. And we see that in a few places. He brings 2 examples. Or Yemare Hashem kol mishalotecha. So Hashem fulfills and fills up the experience of lack in a person's heart, or the wishes that a person has in his heart, that is filling up the ruach, the spirit within the heart of a person. Okay. Now he also says here that the ruach chaim is in the heart of the person. Okay, it brings a Zohar. The Zohar says that all of the organs and all of the limbs of a person's body are directed by the heart, because the heart is the king. Okay, and so he brings also a pasuk in Yechezkel that says that he points out in that pasuk that wherever the ruach needs to go, that's where it will go. Okay, so this means that the heart is the king because it's the source of the ruach in a person's body. And so the source of the ruach in a person's body is in the heart. And the ruach, when it's lacking, a person experiences deficiency. And so that's why, in order to remove the deficiency, to remove that lack, a person needs to fill up that ruach. He needs to increase the ruach. That's what he is teaching us from all of this. And then let me just finish this paragraph. כי הרוח הוא בלב, והחיסרון הוא הסתלקות הרוח שמקומו בלב, ועל כן נרגש החיסרון בלב. The ruach is in a person's heart, and the lack that a person is experiencing is when this ruach has departed from a person's heart, or has been decreased from a person's heart. And that's when he experiences the deficiency. That's why he experiences deficiency in his heart. But when that deficiency is filled, when that lack is filled, so it says, Hashem will give you, fulfill all of your wishes, all the wishes of your heart. And so now we understand why Am Yisrael, that when we receive this Ruach Chaim from the Torah, as we said that there are two places where you can receive the Ruach Chaim, either from the Torah, from the side of holiness, or from the other side. We receive this Ruach Chaim, this energy of life, we receive it from the Torah. Okay, and that's why we are called Tzafon. We are called Tzafon because Tzafon is the place that we spoke about where the Ruach is deficient and it needs to be filled up. And it's filled up from the light of the Torah. So since we are the people that receive our completion, we receive it from this energy that's in the Torah, so we are considered the northern wind, the Ruach Tzafon, which is the side, the wind that is fulfilled, that is filled up and rectified by the 5 strings of the Kinnor of David, the Torah itself. And so he brings a pasuk in Tehillim that says they plot against your people, and they take they advise against your hidden ones. Okay, your hidden ones is Am Yisrael, and why are they called your tzefunecha, your tzafon? That's the word for hidden ones, because they are the Ruach Tzafon, the northern wind, which receives the light from the Torah to fill up all of the deficiencies. Okay, Gimel. Rishayim, now he's going to explain to us the other side. He's going to explain to us now people that receive this energy, this ruach, from the side of Klipa. Rishayim הדוברים הצדיק עתק בגאווה ובוז, מאין מקבלים הם הרוח להשלים החיסרון. אך דע שיש רב בקליפה, והוא בחינת עשיו, כמו שכתוב בעשיו יש לי רב, והוא בחינת אלופי עשיו, וכמו שתרגם אונקילוס רב רבי עשיו, בחינת הרב דקליפה, ומהם מקבלים הרשעים הרוח, והוא בחינת רוח חתומה, בחינת רוח שערה, כמו שכתוב, הן עשיו אחי איש שעיר, וכן הרוח שלהם גדול ותקיף לפי שעה, כמו רוח שערה שהוא גדול בשעתו. So, if we understand, and we said that the life energy, the ruach of life, the spirit of life, the spirit of Hashem is found in the Torah, and in order to receive that light, that life energy, which fills up all of the void, all of the deficiencies, we need to be connected to the tzaddik, because the tzaddik is the one who draws that energy from the Torah and gives it to us. So then someone who is against the tzaddik, someone who speaks against the tzaddik, he argues against the tzaddik, and he is separates himself from the tzaddik, and he lives a life separate and disconnected from the tzaddik. Where does he get the ruach that fills up his deficiencies? Everybody has deficiencies. Everybody has lack. So where does the rasha, the one that's disconnected from the tzaddik, receive the ruach that fills up his deficiencies? So he says, just like there is a rav in the side of holiness, there's also a rav in the side of the klipa. There are two types of rabbanim. There is the leaders of the side of holiness, the rabbi on the side of holiness, and then there's the rabbi, the leader on the side of the klipa. Okay, and we see he brings proof to this. He brings a point in the Torah where we see this name Rav given also to the side of Klipa. We see that by Esav, where Esav says, Yeshli Rav, I have a lot. Okay? What's really interesting is that he's not speaking about a leader in that pasuk. He's using that word to mean that I have a lot. Right? Okay? So, what does it mean I have a lot? And what do we learn from that? That Esav saying I have a lot teaches us, Esav saying that I have a lot teaches us about the fact that there are leaders also on the side of the klipa. And I think Rabbi Nachman is alluding to the fact that he's showing us that the leaders of the klipa are all represented by this consciousness of I have a lot. Okay, and this is a very important point of distinction between Esav and Yaakov. That Esav says, I have a lot, and Yaakov answers to him, I have everything. I'm not deficient at all. And it's absolutely clear to us, right, that Esav had a lot more than Yaakov had. And still, Esav said, I have a lot. Whereas Yaakov, who had less than Esav, he says, I have it all. Okay, because there's a state of consciousness where a person, everything that he has is a separate thing that he has added to what he has. Okay, I have another $100. I have another property, or I have another thing that I bought. Okay, he's accumulating wealth, and he's accumulating different things that he's acquiring in this world. And everything that he accumulates and everything that he acquires is just another addition to the many things that he has. They are not really connected as one. They're not really they don't really fit in the same category. They're just many, many different things. They're not fit in the same category of fulfilling the same goal, because they're not connected to each other. They're just ways of adding to the fulfillment of my wishes. Okay, and so therefore, since they are not connected to each other, they are just many. Okay, I can have many more, and I can have many more than that, but it's just many different things that are in a big pile of all the different things that I've acquired. Whereas by Yaakov, where he lives in a consciousness of Achdus, he lives in a non-duality consciousness. He lives in a consciousness where everything is one, and everything is part of Hashem, and everything is all for one goal of bringing about greater revelation of Hashem's light, of Hashem's sweetness in the world, of Hashem's presence in the world. So everything that he has, even if it's a small amount, but it's all seen as one thing. Okay, it's all seen as all, not just as one thing separate from the universe, from everything else. It's seen as all, because all, the Hashem Echad, is revealed through everything that he has. And so that's the difference in way of living between Yaakov and Esav. It's this consciousness of Yeshli Rav, I have many different things, because every small different thing is in order to fulfill a desire at a different moment, at a different time. So they don't really connect to each other. Every moment a person has different animal desires, and he goes out and he acquires something in order to fulfill that desire in that moment at that time. So those different things that he's acquired is not really connecting to each other. It's part of the experience and the consciousness of separation, where things are separate and where I'm lacking, and I go out and I fulfill my lack and my feelings of deficiency with all these different things on the outside. Whereas Yaakov lives with a consciousness of Yesh Li Kol, a consciousness of Hashem Echad, where everything is perfect and everything, all perfection is already here and already now because I'm living in Hashem's presence. And so therefore, everything that I have, everything that Hashem has given me is all in order to bring about the revelation of this truth. And so whatever I have is part of this truth of absolute perfection. And so that's why whatever I have is kol. It is everything. Everything is included in that. Everything is that. And that is everything. That's the Yesh Li Kol of Yaakov. So I think Rabbi Nachman is alluding to the fact that the leaders of the Sitra Achra, the leaders of the Klipa, the leaders from the side of Esav, they live with this consciousness of Yesh Li Rav, the consciousness of separateness and constant deficiencies that have to be filled up with things on the outside, physical things, animal desires, animal lusts, etc., etc. And that's why the leaders of the Klipa, we learn about them from this pasuk, Yesh Li Rav, that Esav says, I have a lot. Vehu bechinat alufe Esav, and this is the aspect of the chiefs of Esav's families, of all the different groups that were in Esav's families, because these chiefs of Esav's families were called, they're translated in the Targum of Onkelos as Ravreve Esav. Ravreve Esav means the leaders of Esav's families, but the word Ravreve sounds like Rav, okay, which is the leader on the side of the Klipa, Bechinat Rav de Klipa. Umehem mekablim harishayim, umehem mekablim harishayim haruach, ve'u bechinat ruach hatuma. And from these Rav, from these leaders of the Klipa, that's where the Rishayim receive the energy, the life force that fills up their deficiencies that they're experiencing in their heart. Okay, and that's the ruach that they're drawing from their rabbis of the Klipa, the Rav of the Klipa, the leaders of the Klipa. That ruach that they're drawing from them is the ruach of Tuma. Okay, bechinat ruach se'ara. This ruach of Tuma is also called a ruach, a wind of the storm. And the reason why, Rabbi Nachman says, is because it is great and it's mighty and it's strong and it's loud in its time. As soon as it comes out, right? When you have a storm and there's a strong wind, so it's scary, it's mighty, it makes a loud noise and it blows very, very hard and it's great and powerful. But then after the storm passes, there's nothing left from it. There's no memory of it. There's no sign of it. Okay? In the same way, Rabbi Nachman is going to point out, we're going to speak about this more tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, that the ruach, the spirit, the energy that the Rishayim draw from, their rabbis, their leaders, is this ruach hatuma, the spirit of tuma. And that, even though it fills up a person's deficiency at that time, at that moment, but it's short-lasted. It doesn't last beyond, at least, it does not last beyond this physical world. That's what we spoke about yesterday. We spoke about the difference between a person who takes the Eitzah, the counsel from the Torah, and to help himself, to fulfill a person's desires and needs and deficiencies with the energy of the holiness, with the energy of Hashem, or he takes it from the other side in a way that is all about kochi ve'otzem yadi. It's all about my doing. It's all about the natural, the natural hishtadlut that a person does without being connected to the faith that everything is from the light of Hashem. So the difference is whether it's going to be a success that is permanent, or is it going to be a success like the wind of the storm, which is temporary. We're going to see more about that B'ezrat Hashem tomorrow. Okay.